What's up, TV fans? So I just finished watching the season 10 finale of The Walking Dead episode 16, A Certain Doom. Here is my spoiler-filled review coming right up. But before I begin, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing to Screen Kings for weekly reviews on movies, TV shows, and video games. Now let's begin. Episode 16, this is supposed to air back on April. Now it has been delayed due to pandemic, and we're just getting it now. So I'm well aware that The Walking Dead viewership has decreased over the years. I think the most viewed season would have to be season 5, and then it started dropping its viewers. And so if you purposely searched this video, you're one of the loyal fans like me who stuck through thick and thin. But what I'm going to say is that ever since Angela Kang became the showrunner starting season 9 and in this season 10, the show has once again found its gears. The narrative is much more focused. They're no longer extending the storylines. Yes, there are bottle episodes still, but they are more effective. So I think the task here for the season finale is to wrap all those loose threads, because this marks the end of an era for the Whisperers and set up a new conflict for the next season, and I think that the show does that successfully in the season finale. So let's get into it. This will be full spoilers, so tons of spoilers going in your way. This is considered as the Whisperer War Part 2. Part 1 is with Alpha. We know what happened back then. All the remaining surviving communities, Alexandria, Hilltop, Oceanside, the Kingdom, they are all gathered in this hospital, which reminded me of Beth's Hospital, the Grady Memorial Hospital. Anyway, in here they are swarmed again by this horde of zombies as Beta leads them into one last final attack. The way that the protagonist of the show triumphed that in the comics is that they led that horde into the ocean. In here, it's pretty much different. What happened is, actually, it's kind of wacky. They lured the zombies using music, and then they got to a point that they got compromised. So Lydia and Alpha took the reins in herding the ship into the cliff. There are a lot of big moments happening here. There are a lot of dramatic moments inserted in between, so it doesn't feel hollow. And this whole season finale really did a good job in putting an end into this era, not just on the Alpha and the Whisperers, but also to the Rick Grimes era, because all of the survivors after the preconceived death of Rick Grimes, they united together to fight against the last remaining horde of Alpha. So there's a sense of heart and community, which has always been the strong core of The Walking Dead. And speaking of uniting the communities, I have to talk about Father Gabriel here. He has taken this figurehead role. I think he's the closest to the Rick Grimes that season, and moreover in that episode alone. By the way that they've roused the music, I am really convinced at that moment that they are prepping this character to die. That his arc is now complete for being that selfish priest that we first see on the season 5, now into almost a leader uniting 4 communities, which is something that we really did not expect. And when it comes to nailing character arcs for better or worse, The Walking Dead has done a fair share of them. This episode marks the return of Maggie Rhee, who we last saw on season 9. It's not a surprise because I've been closely following news about this show, and I know for a fact that she will appear in this episode. But I'm really excited in learning the character journey of Maggie in all those episodes that she was missing. There are 6 more episodes coming next year, which is officially part of season 10. So I'm not sure if this is the season finale release. But until those episodes air, I'll be calling this as the season finale. And yes, some of those episodes, there will be an episode dedicated to Maggie Rhee, and maybe her trying to integrate herself to the Commonwealth, which I will discuss more of that later. And along with Maggie Rhee's return, there's a new masked ninja. Yes, there are a lot of speculations regarding that character's identity. I am sure, however, that is not Morgan, though they have very similar skill sets. I think Morgan has really planted his roots in the Walking Dead spin-off show Fear the Walking Dead, and I am more inclined to think, because I've read the comics, that this character will be Mercer. He's some sort of the Lord Commander for the army of the Commonwealth. We will learn more about that hopefully in the next season, so that's my best bet. And also the season finale also marks the return of Connie, who has been missing in the the mid-season premiere. I thought that she's getting a hit treatment who's been missing for a long time now. Lauren Ridloff, the actress who plays Connie, has been casted on the Eternal, so I think that might have something to do with her scheduling conflicts. That's why she's been missing on the second half of the season. But she's eventually found by Virgil, and there's the question that how did Virgil get off that island? If you remember on the earlier episodes this season, Virgil said that every now and then boats get washed ashore, so maybe that has something to do with that. But let's talk about those emotional moments of the episode that I'm talking about earlier. Let's first start off with Negan and Lydia. What I like about these characters is they are able to find a certain common ground. Both of them are rejected by the community because they are the de facto villains of the show. However, looking to the perspective of the Whisperers, they've essentially betrayed their kind. Negan got the trust of the Whisperers, but in the end, he slits Alpha's throat. So there's this iconic scene when Negan hands this Whisperer face to Lydia, which in turn Lydia uses to wear to help Carol cross that horde of zombies. Also, when it comes to the dynamic of Carol and Lydia, there's a very big elephant in the room that the show tried to address, because Lydia's mother Alpha killed Carol's son Henry back in season 9, and then by episode 13 of the season 10, Negan kills Alpha while he's acting orders from Carol. So it's kind of an eye for an eye situation, but you know, the show never revealed its vengeful themes, and they both eventually helped each other in getting rid of that horde. So that's another affecting moment, a beautiful moment of reconciliation that the season finale brought. And also we got Carl and Daryl moments. If you're aware of the news, there's going to be a spin-off on the works, Carl and Daryl centric show, which is supposed to air on 2023, and there's a mention of New Mexico, so I think that's a little Easter egg on the plans that's coming. And also there's a major send-off to the show's secondary villain, Beta. I have to say that I'm a bit let down by the showdown of Beta, Daryl, and Negan. There's this moment in the comics where Negan tries to smash Beta's head using Lucille, but Lucille gets broken, which devastates Negan deeply. So there's no scene here. The confrontation is really quick. What I like, however, in his send-off moment where it all came together, he has this flashbacks with Alpha, because as we all know, Beta is this musician in his past life, and being a musician, he might be used to adulation from the fans, and in turn, in his apocalyptic life, he has brought that psyche and amassed a horde in substitute of fans. So I think there's a sense of disillusionment for this character, which gave a state of euphoria, even though ironically that character is dying in those moments. So yeah, I think it all came together, those existential moments that Beta was talking to the head of Alpha. I think that was beautifully done. Of course, there are also casualties from the community side. I am not really disappointed that there are no major character deaths apart from Beta. I've said this before, that the strength of a season finale does not really depend on the death of a major character. In here, the casualties will have to be Beatrice and Oscar. Beatrice is one of the lieutenants from the ocean side, and that amount of brutality where someone gets devoured by the walkers, the last time I've seen that was season 5, Noah's death. So do note that the set pieces in this season finale are not really bombastic, but that scene alone where the group is trying to cross the herd, that is really tense for me, because the last time that something like this happened was back on Alexandria, where a family gets murdered. So I was expecting for more deaths actually, but you know, Beatrice going down and even in her final moments thinking about the welfare for the group is a really noble one. And then there's Oscar. Honestly, I forgot this guy. I thought he was just some random militia dude, and I had to search up his name, but he is one of the homies from the hilltop. As for the arc of Eugene, joined by King Ezekiel, Yumiko, and Princess, they finally reach that rendezvous point, and they are met by these stormtrooper looking soldiers. So that's our first look for the army of the Commonwealth. I've read a few chapters on the Commonwealth issue. The Commonwealth is a large extension of interconnected communities. This is much bigger than Alexandria Hilltop. They have their own army. So we're talking about a larger, really larger world here. But what's the main difference from those smaller communities that we had in the past is that this Commonwealth, they have this social class system. Basically, they're divided into the upper class and the lower class. If you've seen the show Snowpiercer, you're going to have an idea of what the Commonwealth is going for. So for the lower class, we have the average worker jobs, we have the baker, the tailor, and as for the upper class, we have the high-ranking officials, and there's a sense of pompous entitlement, there's a sense of capitalism going on here, so that will cause friction and uprising. So those are the conflicts that we can expect on the upcoming season. And yeah, so I'm just interested on how the next season plays out, because the first seasons of The Walking Dead is about the collapse of the civilization, and then as the show progressed on, it's about forming small communities, and then it's only by season 11 that we are going to fully trust into this larger community, an actual world that's really trying to beat the apocalypse. A little bit of spoiler from the comics, at some point Maggie becomes the president of the Commonwealth, so that is something that we can maybe expect, or maybe the show will subvert our expectations. We're going to watch out for that. And the future of the Walking Dead franchise, there's a statement from the AMC. They're intending to extend the life of this comic book franchise for 10 more years. So whether they'll be talking about movies and more series, we're not yet done with this dead universe. This dead universe is not gonna be easy to kill. And I, for one, I am excited for more things to come. Yes, the zombie franchise can be saturated by now, but The Walking Dead for me is one of the pioneers of groundbreaking TV. So I am really not ready to let go of this franchise anytime sooner. So when it comes to plans, there's The Walking Dead World Beyond that will have more young adult themes. As I've mentioned, there's the Daryl and Carol show spin-off coming this 2023, and the Rick Grimes movies. And because this is Michonne's final season, we can expect that Michonne should tie into one of those movies. The final season, season 11, will air on 2021 and will end on 2022. So we have 2 more years for our flagship series. And yeah, as for the direction where this show is headed, I'm really liking what Angela Kang did in the last 2 seasons. I think she delivered what's expected and what's needed in that season's finale, and I think the future of The Walking Dead looks brighter. And that's it for my spoiler review of the season 10 finale of The Walking Dead, A Certain Doom. Have you guys seen this episode? Comment them down below. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, please hit that like button and click that subscribe button for weekly reviews on movies, TV shows, and video games. Thank you so much for watching. Until then, see you on the next one.